Okay, I'd like to start this off by giving my personal condolences to anybody that knew Kate, her family and friends. I'm truly sorry for your loss. And that's why I made the previous video kind of more of like a tribute sort of thing. And this video, I'm going to discuss the events of this all coming into the public's view and Christian Porter's decisions and how the government went about it all. So let that be the trigger warning. Most people should have a general idea of what's to come, what we're going to have to discuss. And I have some clips to show you, some from ABC's Media Watch, some from Channel 10's News, and they both have clips of each other. So if it gets a bit confusing, don't worry, I mainly just need you to hear what they have to say.
I did. It just did not happen.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And that was Attorney General Christian Porter identifying himself as the minister accused of raping a 16-year-old girl in Sydney in 1988 when he was 17, and telling journalists,
Nothing in the allegations that have been printed ever happened. They just didn't happen.
In February last year, the alleged victim made a complaint to New South Wales Police. But in June 2020, she took her own life, the day after asking the police not to proceed. So, with the case closed and no chance of the allegations being tested in court, friends pushed her claims into the public eye, kicking off what Christian Porter and others have condemned as trial by media.
Mr Porter saying he's become the victim of a trial by media.
This man has had no natural justice and has had trial by media.
Unfortunately, it is a trial by media at the moment.
What we've seen is trial by media.
And in the Four Corners you may just have seen, the revelations have continued as the pressure on Porter has mounted. So, has it in fact been trial by media? And has it been unfair?
Christian Porter denied allegations he raped a 16-year-old girl when he was a teenager himself. He ended by taking immediate leave to look after his mental health. But he has not been idle. Today, the Attorney-General launched a defamation suit against the ABC and Four Corners reporter Louise Milligan. While her initial account did not name Christian Porter, his lawyers say he was easily identifiable, subjecting him to trial by media. They say even the ABC knew it.
It was by then an open secret in Canberra that Christian Porter was the minister accused.
After the death of the alleged victim caused police to close the case, the Prime Minister has repeatedly ruled out ordering an independent inquiry into the conduct of his Attorney-General.
So you won't be ordering an inquiry on this?
I'm not the police force.
But effectively, an inquiry is now coming.
It would be a welcome opportunity for there to be a proper legal proceeding rather than just a denial or trial by media.
The ABC will defend the action, making the federal court the stage for a legal drama with enormous stakes for all involved. If no one blinks first, it'll mean the court will examine what did or did not happen between two teenagers 33 years ago. Mr Porter's troops are led by senior counsel Brett Walker, who argued George Pell's successful appeal in the High Court. But the former lawyer for the now deceased alleged victim says the issues are wider than this case.
There is a lot that needs to change in relation to how the system responds to sexual violence and to survivors.
Importantly, Australia could go into the next election with the questions about the Attorney-General still not settled.
It would be surprising if it could be brought on and concluded with an outcome this year.
But by then, we might at least have heard his version under oath. Hugh Remington for 10 News First.
Alright, I just wanted to show you that the clip from Channel 10 News is from the 15th of March. Okay, there is a lot to unpack in that. We will go back over some of it, but I just want to quickly mention, did you notice his legal team? The previous cases his lawyer has worked on. Very interesting. Oh, and I do find it gross how they keep referring to him as a victim. Alright, let's get into this.
Porter saying he's become the victim of a trial by media.
This man has had no natural justice and has had trial by media.
Unfortunately, it is a trial by media at the moment.
What we've seen is trial by media.
Trial by media. They say even the ABC knew it.
It was by then an open secret in Canberra that Christian Porter was the minister accused.
All right, we went over this bit again because I noticed that Channel 10 says ABC even knew and then shows a clip of Media Watch with the date saying the 8th. But then if we look back at Media Watch's clips where they've dated what they've used, and they were all talking about him being on trial by media on the 3rd. So I just wanted to point out that that was misleading by Channel 10 and pretty much pointless. Like, what were you trying to say? That didn't prove anything. Okay, moving on to the next thing I noticed.
Last year, the alleged victim made a complaint to New South Wales Police. But in June 2020, she took her own life, the day after asking the police not to proceed.
The death of the alleged victim caused police to close the case.
Did you hear that? ABC told us that she contacted the police to tell them to no longer pursue the case and then took her own life. And then Channel 10 tells you that they stopped pursuing the case because she took her own life. Which one is it? It can't be both, but either way, that's really sus. That really doesn't look good on the part of South Australian Police, New South Wales Police, whatever police were involved with this. Okay, now we'll move on to the lawsuit side of this.
Anstey is suing the ABC and its star reporter Louise Milligan for defamation, setting up a legal battle bigger than anything in recent political history.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And defamation cases do not get much bigger than that. The country's top law officer with a star-studded legal team suing the public broadcaster, but no one else.
Yeah, I just wanted to include that clip because he actually says that it's only the ABC. I'm glad that somebody else pointed that out and it's not just me. And after this next clip, we're going to then talk about what we expect from journalists and what their duties and responsibilities are.
No journalist has ever put the detail of the allegations to me in a way that would allow seeking a response. Not ever. All I know about the allegations is what I've read in the media.
Okay, what really gets me about what he just said there is that doesn't seem like it's a journalist's job. If anything, if someone was meant to bring these accusations to his attention, I would think that's the police, which, you know, we haven't heard much from in this whole process. Just wanted to mention that. But what also really gets me is there was this article co-authored by Peter Van Oslen, apparently buddy of Christian Porter. It included pages from Kate's journal. And I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, how are we allowed to see this? How is this not evidence or something? Why is he able to show this to everybody? And the title of it, in her own words, Kate's dossier of tragedy. Chilling, never before published details from Christian Porter's accuser can be revealed for the first time. Now readers can judge for themselves. This is from a person who said on TV, oh yeah, nah, Christian Porter's a victim of trial by media. Can you see why I have a problem with this all? Now, this is a tweet by Peter after he received a lot of backlash for that article. People were wondering why I haven't passed the dossier on to Christian Porter. Do people really think that appropriate? Only just noticed that now. As if I wouldn't be criticised for doing that if I did. I don't know how it would be legal if you did that. Oh, and it was very obvious that this article was intended to try and discredit Kate. And they showed pages from a journal where it's got the writing in a spiral. And they were trying to use that to say, see, obviously crazy. And that is going to stay with me for the fact that, you know who else writes like that in their journal? I do. And you know why I wrote things like that? To make it a bit harder for somebody to read, because I would be writing something that's sensitive or important in some way. But I didn't want it to be easily read if someone came across it. And yeah, I just wanted to add that. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight how we have the politician saying, oh, but no journalist came to me. And then we have a journalist saying, what, you think I would go to the politician this is about? I can't do that. All right, and next I have a clip that just gives you a quick summary about how this lawsuit's meant to go down.
Christian Porter, who strenuously denies the allegations, is not suing over last November's Four Corners programme Inside the Canberra Bubble, or the follow-up this month. Instead, he's taking aim at this online story for ABC News by Louise Milligan on 26th of February.
Scott Morrison, senators and AFP told of historical rape allegation against Cabinet Minister.
That broke the news that an unnamed senior minister had been accused of a brutal rape in Sydney in 1988. It also reported that the woman making the allegation, who is now known as Kate, had taken her own life last year. On launching the legal action, one of Porter's lawyers said in a statement,
"Although he was not named, the article made allegations against a senior cabinet minister, and the Attorney-General was easily identifiable to many Australians as the subject of the allegations."
Alright, and now I'd like to read you a tweet thread that I wrote on the 15th of March when I tweeted an article by The Guardian which was titled, "Christian Porter commences defamation action against the ABC over false allegations." I'll have all the links below, and I quoted a part of the article to start with. It said, "To trial by media without regard to the presumption of innocence or the rules of evidence, and without any proper disclosure of material said to support the untrue allegations." My tweet continued, "Hang on a damn minute. He's going after the taxpayer-funded broadcaster? Bro, the most damaging thing I've read in regards to the whole Christian Porter situation was brought to my attention by Peter Van Oslen, because that ratio and had to ask how and why is this information public. Chilling and never before published details from Christian Porter's accuser revealed for the first time so readers can judge for themselves. I did judge for myself. I could have thrown up from what I read. The details are horrifying. All that paired with the attempts to make the victim seem less credible and lack of attempts to explain how and why handwritten pages from the victim are shown to the public, it's pretty obvious that the answer to why is to discredit the victim. It was bizarre to read what Porter is accused of doing in such detail, and have a co-author desperately try to cover for him. Anyway, long story short, Christian Porter wants to sue our mediocre public broadcaster, but my point of view is that Peter Van Oslen did more damage to Porter than the ABC ever could, and PVO wanted to help Porter. Jesus fucking Christ, what a shit show. During the making of this video, The Guardian released an article about this, and it is full of interesting and important information. I thought I'll include bits of it for you here. And so I figured I'll just leave my video as is and just include this near the end. The title of it is, "Christian Porter Defamation Case, Minister's Lawyers Accuse ABC of Omitting Material That Cast Doubt on Rape Claim." Alright, and we'll skip through parts of this and we'll go to the important bits. Porter team's letter setting out his case for aggravated damages cites concerns accusers' parents had about historical allegations. Christian Porter's lawyers have accused the ABC of failing to disclose that the parents of the woman who accused him of rape feared she may have confected or embellished the allegations. In a letter to the ABC, published by the federal court on Thursday, Rebecca Giles explained Porter's bid for aggravated damages, accusing the ABC and reporter Louis Milligan of omitting material that cast doubt on the complainant's claim and inappropriately lobbying for an independent inquiry. Oh jeez. In February, the ABC published an article alleging a cabinet minister had been accused of rape in January 1988 in a dossier sent to Scott Morrison and 3 other parliamentarians. After subsequently identifying himself as the minister, Porter strenuously denied the allegations, a defamation case against both the ABC and Milligan, arguing it contained false and defamatory imputations, including that he brutally and anally raped a 16-year-old girl in 1988 when he was 17. The Giles letter setting out Porter's case for aggravated damages notes the ABC failed to disclose that the complainant's statement was unsigned. It revealed concerns the complainant's parents had about the allegations, including that her call to the police before her suicide in June 2020 possibly represented her retracting her allegations. What do you mean? This definitely needs to be looked into. This is sus as fuck. In the letter seen by a Guardian Australia, anonymous friends of the complainant say that context for her parents' doubts were that she would be found an unreliable witness in any trial due to her history of mental illness. The friend shared fears for her well-being but not doubts over the veracity of the complaints, it said. The letter said the complainant's parents were not supportive of her pursuing the matter and that she was enormously stressed by the lack of support. And might I just add that coming forward with something like this would be an extremely difficult thing to do. Now, if you were doing that and the person you're accusing is the Attorney fucking General, yeah, I think that might make it a bit stressful. For her, her parents, everybody. Just down a bit where it says, in the Giles letter, Porter's lawyer complained parts of the private and confidential dossier were publicised by the ABC and the original article remains online. Continuously published after Mr. Porter has been plainly identified. What about Peter Van Oslen? That's all I have to say about that. We'll continue on. Giles noted that the ABC Media Watch and the broadcaster's political editor, Andrew Probyn, conceded that the minister's identity was widely known before Porter identified himself. Now, if they're talking about the clips that I've shown you, if that's what this is a reference to, then oh my goodness, it can't be that. It can't be what I've shown you. Oh my. Alright, continuing on. In support of the aggravated damages claim, Giles said the ABC and Milligan had lobbied for an inquiry and asked for Porter to be stood down, which would have had immediate effects of publicly naming him. Yeah, but he didn't step down. What is your... Oh. Giles noted Milligan had retweeted a despicable, unjustified and improper comment made by the former Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, stating that there was a need for an inquest to question the complainant's cause of death and suggested that her death may not have been caused by suicide and had something to do with the Cabinet Minister, the subject of the article. Thank you, Malcolm Turnbull. Oh my God. Giles also complained that the ABC had described the complainant as the victim. Oh my God. Oh my, really? Christian Porter's lawyer is complaining that Kate was referred to as the victim. Get the fuck out of here. And had claimed on 4 March she was under extreme pressure to withdraw her police complaint when there was no basis to make that suggestion. We should probably look into it before you can say that it didn't happen. If Porter's lawyers establish he was identified by the article, the case is likely to turn on whether the ABC can establish the defense of the truth and qualified privilege, requiring that the publication be reasonable in the circumstance. They have until the 4th of May to file the defense. Okay, a quick summary of what's going on with Porter's lawyers' strategy. So they're going after just the ABC and Miss Milligan over just a written publication from the 26th of February saying that he could have been identified even though he came forward as a person who's been accused shortly after anyways. But then also their argument is they didn't put enough of an emphasis or a spotlight on the bits of information about the parents not being supportive or the statement not being signed or anything that would seem to cast doubt on the accusations as far as the information that's coming from the side that's accusing. Alrighty. They also are going after the journalist and ABC for deleting social media posts, apparently. And see, that's where I'm really getting like, so you didn't want people to talk about it, but now if they did delete any posts about it, they're still in the wrong. See, it's going in circles already. They also argue that because there were calls for the person to step down, if he stepped down, that would have named him. Like, what even? And this whole evidence, proof, and it being up to a journalist to prove these things. Try and treat journalists like they're meant to do the job of law enforcement and crime investigation. The lawyer complains that Kate was referred to as the victim, and this is what Christian Porter's case is built on. Okay, and I've got one last clip I want to show you, and I reckon I left one of the best for last. Let's do this.
And before you go, 4 weeks ago, the Four Corners ran a program focusing in part on you. You rejected the claims categorically and described the report as defamatory. At the time, you said you'd look at your legal options. Where is that at? Will you take legal action?
Well, I'm still having a good think about that, and I do reject absolutely the assertions that were made on that show. I don't want to get distracted from this type of work, so I'm going to have a bit of a think about that as we manage to bed down some of these important economic legislative changes. I'm also going to wait and see what they do by way of response to the Minister's letter, which I think put in it a whole range of pretty important questions that deserve a response. So I'll have a bit of a cold, hard think about that over the coming weeks.
So a genuine look at it. It's not one of those lines you say in response to a controversy at the time. You're genuinely looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, like any good lawyer, Kieran, when I have a moment to have a little bit of quiet time to actually have a sober look at it all, and particularly the ABC responses to the Minister's letter, I'll have a look at it.
Attorney General and Minister for Industrial Relations, Christian Porter, thank you, appreciate it.
You see, did you hear that? Did you hear that? The title of that video was called Christian Porter Still Considering Legal Action Against the ABC, and that was posted on December the 7th, 2020. The description box, Attorney General Christian Porter has told Skye News that he will have a cold hard think about taking legal action against the ABC for its recent Four Corners report. So it looks like this guy is just itching to sue the ABC, and that just makes this all that much more disgusting. And I have one more final thing I want to say about this all. If you're a long-time viewer of this channel, you may have seen me go after the ABC for some awful reporting about a variety of topics. But at the end of the day, that's what this channel's here to do, is call out the bad shit and point out what I believe is right. So we're going to have to back up the ABC here and help them out. So this last bit goes out to ABC and especially Lewis Milligan. Use that Skye News clip. I'll put the link to the original video in the description box below, along with all the articles I've mentioned, including the article from the 26th of February that is apparently at the core of this lawsuit, because I've read that, and if a lot of Porter's argument for some reason will come down to whether that article could be used to identify Christian Porter as the person being accused. Here's a few things I'd like to point out. All it tells you is that there was a 16-year-old victim. It happened in 1988, before the person got into politics, and all that's mentioned as far as states are South Australian Police and New South Wales Police. And it does say that she was found dead in her home in Adelaide, so you kind of have the assumption that the woman accusing a senior cabinet minister of rape is from South Australia. And then the fact that the other police that are mentioned are New South Wales, you would kind of roll with the assumption that maybe that's where he's from, and you still don't know his age. I feel like many people would roll with the assumption that he'd be quite older than the victim at the time of the alleged crime. That might just be me, but I feel like when you're just given few details, many people have the same assumptions. And so this all just builds to my argument of the 17-year-old at the time who lives in Western Australia. He may be a member of the cabinet, but if you're just going off of the details in that first article from February, I don't know why you'd think of Christian Porter unless you already had information on it. And like how they're trying to say in the lawsuit that Penny Wong and other people knew, they were also sent letters from the victim. Of course they knew. And as for the general public, that article, I think, if anything, definitely threw you off of who it would probably be. Oh yeah, and just keep mentioning how it's only one media outlet getting sued. That just happens to be the one that's taxpayer funded. Like, it's so in your face and it's so disgusting. There's a woman who's died, and this guy's taking the opportunity to go through with his lawsuit plans. I just can't anymore with these fucking people. Thanks for watching. See you next time.